Hello, everybody. It is just me today. Just Lonesome Aaron from the Paper Dungeon. This is Table Scraps, the show that we run on Thursdays. To talk about the show that we run on Mondays, where we play Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, a campaign that's been going for 3-4 years. And we are approaching the end game. I'm not sure how long stream will be today, because Aaron could use a nap, and it's just me. It's hard to banter. It's hard to continue when it's just me. But on the bright side, that means that if anyone has questions, this is definitely the stream to ask them. Because what else am I going to do? Talk to someone? So that being said, I have my regular plugs that we always do, and I'm going to blitz them, and there's no one to interrupt me. Alright, first off, we have social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. They're there, and let me tell you, I am struggling as hard as I can to create any content on them. Hopefully, once I have my computer set up, I will be able to get the actual resources that I need to finish them and finally start adding to our social medias again. And when that happens, it will be a triumphant day. We also have a website, www.thepaperdungeon.com. On said website, we have a merch store. You can buy merch that has our logo and other fun things on there. Some cool quotes and stuff that DJ said 3 years ago, something like that. If you want to support us in some other way, we have a lot of different ways that you can do that. We have Streamlabs donation, we have Ko-Fi, and we have Patreon. On that Patreon, we upload some additional content once a month, minimum. Although hopefully we'll be ramping that up. We have a couple of projects in the works, a couple of things that we're thinking on and plotting on, and hopefully I will be adding to that as the year goes on. Once again, once my setup is complete and I have processing power to be able to do things regularly and the mental capacity to do so, it's going to be a game changer. The only other thing that I can really think of is we have a Discord. It's a really cool place where a bunch of freaky people who enjoy watching us and us hang out and talk, and we say good morning to each other, and it's all very amicable. People post fun memes. It's slowed down a bit lately, but I think once we get the social media and stuff popping again, it's gonna be a game changer. So hop on over there if you want to know when we're doing stuff, what our schedule is, when Table Scraps is going on, pretty much anything like that. So, to the topic of interest today. I'm going to go over what happened in the previous episode, this past Monday. To give a little background as to what's going on, my character, Abinthy, in his backstory, he lost someone very dear to him, and it was kind of his fault, although, being honest, he really just blames himself because that's the kind of person that he is. That character's name was Talanashta, and one of his big motivations for continuing to live has been trying to find some way to bring her back because something went wrong and he couldn't get her soul. It was a whole big deal to actually resurrect her. Recently, that problem has been solved. I was told who took her soul and where they are. So Abinthy and the group went to go get her back. We traveled to the In-Between, a plane that we have been to previously that is owned by a certain Miriam Azima, a rather impressive figure in the world of magic, who actually designed a lot of the weave in this world. We had met her previously when we tried to plane shift, and things just went poorly, to say the least. On the bright side, this is kind of a 3 birds, 1 stone situation, because Miriam Azima is also related to the actual plot of what the campaign is about. She is a sacrifice that is necessary to unleash the 6 truths that can be controlled with the rod of 7 parts. It's some endgame stuff. It's pretty wild. Hard to explain in short term. So we show up, we inform Miriam, things are going down on the material plane. She's like, alright, bet. I'm gonna go talk to my husband, who has a part of the rod. And then, yeah, I'll get back to you on that. You guys just deal with whatever. So we go and we deal with the Soul Stealer. That one. Valesh Shataran. Got it. I kept wanting to call it the Trax's old weapon. Blowing it. And yes, Handscape, I know I said 3 birds, 1 stone. That's because I feel like there was another purpose that we accomplished, but I don't know. Oh, yes. So Valesh Shataran, turns out, is kind of trying to get rid of the gods of death. That's our 3rd bird. Because Cather, our paladin, ran by the wonderful Drew, is a paladin of the gods of death. So if we get rid of Valesh Shataran, then bam, we prevent a possible enemy of Cather's. I get Talanashta back, and we inform Miriam Azima of the actual problem. Now let me tell you, Aaron, the person playing the character, is more along the lines of, we have taken 1 step forward in the wrong direction and then taken 2 steps back. What I mean by this is, spoilers, that's the point of this show, so we did it. I got Talanashta's soul back. That's our 1 step forward in the wrong direction. Because let me tell you, nothing to do with the main plot. Love it, all about it, that's my story. I'm into it. But technically not helping us, really. And then we don't kill Valesh Shataran, so that bird escaped. Curse you, gosh dang 3rd bird. And the whole telling Miriam Azima that things are going on, I think that might just be bad. Like, I'm pretty sure that what actually happens is we go there and we go, hey, Miriam, things are going down on the material plane. And she goes, all right, bet, let me talk to my husband. So she leaves her perfectly safe, like, abode where she cannot be harmed or found to go to the material plane that is governed by the literal enemy at the moment, and then lead them directly to the rod that is held by her husband. So what we have done is given them 2 more pieces of the puzzle, not killed the enemy that we wanted to kill, but I got Talanashta's soul back. So as far as I can tell, we did it. That's a win for Abinthy. All right, fat dub, we're there. So as I've just said, we got her soul back. We traveled to the Soul Citadel, the most generic of fantasy citadels. Encountered a bunch of emotion beasts like the angry and the hungry. Dealt with them post haste. Walked into the Soul Citadel, found someone to tell us where to go, left the Soul Citadel to go to the, I can't remember the name of it. It's the grain silo for souls. Let me tell you, there is no Iron Team, and there isn't one in Abinthy or Talanashta, and I don't care. Abinthy can't spell. Doesn't need letters. Letters are for nerds, and Abinthy is not a nerd. So we go to the grain silo of souls. Abinthy's like, all right, I'm in. I'm about to dive in. His soul gets sucked into the grain silo of souls. Things do not go well for the rest of the party. They get chased around by a bunch of hungry, and Abinthy is trapped in the grain silo of souls. Managed to find Talanashta in said silo of souls. Now the question is, how do we get out? I hadn't thought that far. I kind of figured that I would be given some kind of... So here's the thing, right? Some people mention, whether it be Drew, Grant, people who watch the show, oh, there goes Aaron, breaking the game again. Well, let me tell you, if I was given an out, I wouldn't make up things. If at any point in time I'm in a bad spot and the DM says you can make an Arcana check to try to mess with the arcane runes from the inside to try to escape, I will do that. If he just says there's not an exit, well, now I've got to get shifty. And it's all stuff that is like thematically cool. You know, Magic the Gathering has a thing called Rule Zero, where the point of like playing a commander deck is to have fun, and so you can ignore any rule if it doesn't involve having fun. Therefore, breaking the game. So Abinthy gives up his clone and all of the mana that he has gathered up until this point in time, which, let me tell you, is a real pain in the neck, because I had plans for that mana to send Talanashta to the clone to basically resurrect her in a new body. Blah 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 blah. Abinthy's stuck in the soul silo. I want to point that out. Abinthy was a selfless person, and he will never let anyone live that down. He was like, nah, get out of here. I'll be right there. Not a problem. And he's like, all right, let's wreak havoc, because you best believe I don't know how to get out of here. In the meanwhile, Cather, being an absolute G, decides to cast Revivify on Abinthy, which I'm not sure if that technically works, because I might have been dead for more than a minute. But also, was I really dead? So I say just call it good. Let's say he wasn't reviving me. He was opening a path back to my body as a beacon, an inviting beacon. So I'm not the only one who broke the game here, all right? They were running from those hungry for like 3 hours, as far as I could tell. So Abinthy wakes back up in his body, and then they all teleport on out of there and skedaddle. Get a nice, heartwarming reunion with Talanashta as we go to deal with the rest of our business. One of the main reasons that not a whole lot of conversation was done with Talanashta at that point in time was DJ and I have not talked about like who Talanashta is. There are no like, he has no descriptors of like, oh, how does Talanashta act? What does Talanashta like to do? Who is this NPC? Because I didn't expect her to come back. I kind of just figured she'd be dead. Same thing with Yorick. Yorick did not have a lot of information given. It was just, this is a character that Abinthy knows and could theoretically come into play at some point in time. Because I was like, meh, what's the likeliness that we're going to run into this guy? So I was like, let's stall to give DJ some time to figure stuff out, and then who knows, maybe we'll hit the end of the episode and I can just write it up for him before next Monday. Hence, here we are. Cather, in the meanwhile, we head back to Gambit's Keep, and we have a little bit of downtime to do some character building, role play and stuff. Cather takes the rest of the gang and heads back to his hometown to talk to his family, to reveal to them that he was a drow, which apparently they all already knew. The description that I used in-game was Cather was like, guys, I know this is going to be hard to take in, but I think I'm adopted. And his parents were like, yeah, we signed the papers. And he's like, what? Which was pretty great. That was a very enjoyable scene for Aaron. But yeah, so he tells his family. I so hope Kiamura marries Cather's sister, because that is just hilarious. That's just a great time. So basically, I hope that Cather's sister has no fate other than to marry whoever happens to be Cather's best friend. Because she was going to marry his previous best friend, and then he died. And now Kiyomura, I'm going to say, is probably Cather's, like, best friend, right? And so if Kiyomura dies, I can only assume that the next in line for Cather's best friend is, like, Edward. And I am all for the Edward harem. I am so down. Heck, I'll be a part of it. I'm in. But yeah, so that was some fun times. And then the best part of the night, when we end it, we get to level up. And oh baby, are we cooking with gas now. We have hit level 17, which is a very important level for full spellcasters, because level 17 is when you get 9th level spells. That's when the game gets just wildly unbalanced. It was already pretty bad, but like level 17, things get nasty. Things get just absolutely absurd. I have a lot of plans as for what my 9th level spells are. Some of them already known. Time Stop, big fan of it. It's a fun spell to like really work with, to really dive into, because it has so many restrictions to it. Like if it was just, time stops and you can do the like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure thing where you throw a bunch of knives and then when the time stop ends they all hit a person, but you can't. That's not how time stop works, because if you throw a thing it keeps going because you were the one who threw it, and the moment you interact with another creature, time stop ends. You also can't cast concentration spells, so it's like, well, you can cast like one, but like it doesn't make sense to cast a whole lot of them, because you can only have one concentration spell that like is cast on yourself, and it's just a real pain in the neck. But if you have designed your character from level 1, especially as a wizard, because they don't get to like change out their spells, if you have designed your character since level 1 specifically for the purpose of when you hit level 17, you get to do some pretty cool stuff. And let me tell ya, that's what I've been doing since I started playing this character. So I'm very excited for the next time that we end up in any form of combat or physical engagement, because I've got a monologue ready. It's gonna be sick. And yeah, other people get to do cool things at level 17 also. Blah, 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 blah. Now the question is, what are we going to do next? And we talked a little bit about this on the previous table scraps. It was Drew and I talking about it. Let me tell you, we both have a lot of options and very few options. We have a lot of options because there's a whole bunch going on that like theoretically we could interact with. But can we actually interact with it is the question, right? Like, things that jump to my mind that we can actively influence. We can probably rescue Cather's girlfriend. We can like break into the palace and deal with her, right? It isn't like we can just attack the final boss, because we have a little bit more time until like the campaign can really like end, and we're not level 20 yet, which is kind of what the plan is as far as I'm concerned. We can go back and fight the Soul Stealer. That doesn't really involve the main plot, but I honestly don't think it's that bad of an idea, just because, like, as I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be dealt with, but I'm not sure exactly how much we can actually deal with it. There's only so many things. Like, we can go and start eliminating generals. Like, we can try to do that. We can fight we can go and take out the Fae lady that I don't remember her name. Justari, found it, took me a second. We can go deal with Justari. We can deal with Wisteria Vale. I would love a wizard fight. Love myself a good wizard fight. But like, once again, can we really? Because I think that we could probably deal with Wisteria Vale, but we can't do anything to Zood's Thrim or whatever his name is, Adelar Crave, like the cereal, because he's like functionally immortal until the 6 truths are unleashed, and aka he's killed in a specific manner. We can't really go searching for any pieces of the rods, because that's like kind of not what we want. Like, if we don't know it, we just want to know if they know where the rods are. But there's no real way of knowing whether that's the case without a lot of trouble or just searching for the rods ourselves. We could go locate more of the tombs of the 6 truths, because right now we know the location of 1. But there's only like so much that we can really do. I think fighting Valesh is not a bad idea. Just in terms of entertainment value and like story. Like, there's a lot of good souls that Valesh has trapped and is experimenting on. And Abinthy has a bone to pick with him. Cather is a good person and also doesn't like the whole idea of Valesh gearing up to fight the gods of death, and we get rid of a potential enemy who will not necessarily like change or horribly alter for DJ what the plan is for the end of the campaign. So I think that might honestly not be a bad idea. We know where he is. We just go back in there. We may have to figure out if we can rescue Miriam Azima or check in with the Chosen or something. Those are some options that we have to do. But I'm not 100% sure where we're going to go. I am excited because this next episode I actually get to really engage with Talanashta and show a side of Abinthy that hasn't really been seen, or at least has not been present for much of the campaign. But after that kind of engagement is done and we figure out where we're going to go, I can honestly say I'm not sure where our plan will end up taking us. So it's certainly going to be an intriguing possibility, honestly. So here's an idea I've been playing around with in my mind as a DM when it comes to like end of the game, late level stuff. One of the big struggles for a DM at this level is how in God's name do you scale for your party? That is like hard to do. Always has been, especially in 5th edition. Like, you have like 0 tools to help you do that. You pretty much just feel it out. And a lot of the time it ends up with one of the 2 sides of the party getting squashed, right? Because there's so many deciding factors of like who wins or loses a fight, and there's only so many things that you can alter on a like monster that you're fighting. A lot of the time it's just health. Like, if you just don't have enough health on your monster and your players roll well, they just die. And so, but if you add health, then it's a slog. So one of the things that I've been toying with is like, I would kind of love if before the final boss actually happened, each character kind of ended up in their own like thematic fight, And obviously, that's very difficult to do, especially like in this live kind of setting. Having it still be entertaining, not take up too much time, but also be long enough to feel like it matters. Like Abinthy versus Miriam Azima, Cather versus maybe Zastari. Well, it could be. Well, okay, no. If we go Cather versus the Soul Stealer, and then Edward versus Zastari, like, you get some really cool, like, archetype fights where you have the wizard battle where there's just a bunch of spells being slung around, and like Abinthy and Miriam Azima have their whole like reason as to why it's going on. You have the like paladin versus like an overwhelming decrepit darkness in the form of the Soul Stealer, Valesh Shataran, where it's like a bunch of grim darkness and slashing and biting with this like divine radiant paladin in the midst of it, like rebuking the evil in front of him with his golden sword of light or whatever. And then you also get so Edward is the hardest one because Edward doesn't have like a nemesis. The closest I could think of is Zastari. And even then, it's kind of the idea of like things beyond mortality versus immortal, which is I've mentioned it before. That is my favorite theme for anything. Like, it's probably started with my interest in like Greek mythology and mythology in general. Is I love the concept of regular people fighting against some preordained fate or something so clearly beyond their capabilities. Edward is the point and click definition of a relatively normal guy. And so him going up against like gods and demons and devils and fae is so cool to me. And it's sometimes it's a very difficult theme to represent as well. And I know that like at times DJ and I clash when it comes to that, because the other theme that like DJ and Drew are big fans of is the idea of that overwhelming strength that comes from a god or a demon or a devil, where it's like there are things so wildly beyond human imagination that fighting against it, like you're a fly, you're a literal gnat going up against a normal sized person. So like our kind of concepts of what those kind of fights look like very just aggressively between the two of them. Both of them are great. Like they're very, very good story elements. It's just a difference in perspective. So I love Edward's kind of vibe when it comes to fighting the things that we're going up against. Abinthy is styled in such a way that it's like, what if Edward just rejected the idea that he was a normal person? Where like Edward is out here and he's like, I'm a pretty normal dude. I'm a politician. I'm a philanthropist. I am a noble. I do magic and stuff. I'm like better than most mortals on the planet. But I'm still immortal. So when he's confronted with a god, he's like, all right, you got me. You're a god. I'm immortal. Abinthy's like, screw you. You don't get to tell me what I can and can't do. I could beat a god in a fist fight. I could do it. Put me in, coach. Straight up, no holds barred. I'm in. Regardless of whether or not that's true, that is like Abinthy and Edward actually have a lot of parallels when it comes to their mortality. Whereas Edward goes, I understand that I am mortal, and I do not fear that. Abinthy says, screw you, mortality doesn't hold me back. Mortality is a myth, made up by the gods to keep you contained. You can't prove that I'm not immortal until I die. Once again, both very entertaining, both very different viewpoints, and both are things that I'm very excited to see pan out. I did mention that this was probably going to be a bit of a shorter episode, so I'm probably going to get around to wrapping up pretty quick here. I will say, for the very few amount of people that are currently watching, do you have any questions? Any questions about TPD? What's going on behind the scenes? The story itself? Questions for me? I'd be willing to take DM questions. Any questions at all from the Handskate and chat. I'll give it a little bit of time. Interesting. I will say this is a little behind the scenes in my life. I've been playing a lot of Magic the Gathering recently, and let me tell you, it is a slippery slope. I started picking it up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just run with what I've got going on in the background, and then suddenly I've dug through hundreds of cards within 3 days, and I'm building things and spending money. I'm like, God, where did this come from? I was once told by a very good friend of mine, if you ever have children, the best way to keep them out of trouble, to stop them from doing drugs or any other kind of illegal thing, is just get them to play Magic the Gathering, because then they will not have the time or money to do anything else. As answer to your question, Handskate, how's prep for me DMing the next campaign going so far? I think that it's going well. Now, there are a couple things in the works that we are still prepping for. Theoretically, I'm gonna say probably within a month we'll release a video kind of statement regarding campaign 2 that will be very interesting for people who enjoy the Paper Dungeon to hear. So keep an eye out for that. The actual prep for the campaign, how do I explain it? So when I prep for a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, there's a lot that goes on in my mind, but it's hard to explain what exactly it is. I know the theme that I want for the campaign. I know the overarching problem that the players are going to be facing and theoretically stop by the time the campaign is over. I also begin to develop NPCs. Those are the main things that I do. So I think for my players find a lot of fun doing various different things. All of the things that they have fun doing are either reliant on or enhanced by good NPCs just in the world. So a lot of my time just goes into that, and you need to have a relatively constant NPC that is stronger than them and will give them information or some form of quests to go forward. There's been a lot of them in campaign 1. Lada is a good example. Lada is a character that is, when we started out, was far and above who and what and whatever we are or where we were going, and she was very useful and kind of guided us along until eventually we transferred to a new one and a new one, blah 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 blah. Fun little side characters that are just interesting. Also, shout out to Ladward. May the ship never die. fun side characters, characters that relate to specific people's backstories. Right now, I know Grant, DJ, and Drew's characters for the most part. Obviously, some of that will change. Nothing is for sure set in stone, but I have the general theme that I'm pretty sure that they're going to be going with. And so with that theme, I need characters that they know, besides the ones that they have already given me, that will just flesh out the world. And so they may encounter them while traveling or something along those lines. Regardless of whether or not the players know who they are, I can say, hey, this is this character. You remember them from blank. Hey, this is John, big fellow. You remember him from college. He played rugby. Oh, hello, Maz. I'm taking questions and stuff. You missed the background info and the recap of campaign 1. Right now I'm talking about how I prep for campaign 2, and kind of how it's going. So I have a lot of the NPCs and stuff figured out. I have several that I'm very interested in, and then the rest of my prep. What is the Ebst? Oh, what is the best ship and why is it Ladward? Oh man, you arrived at the right time. The answer is, as to why the best ship is Ladward, is because, is there any other ship? Like, if you really think about it. I'm just saying. But yeah, so one of the last step for me playing in a campaign, once I have the theme figured out, once I have the big bad kind of figured out, once I have the NPCs there, my next step is to just find cool things for people to do in the game that they can do at any point in time. Just things that are different from a regular Dungeons & Dragons game that aren't necessarily in the book. One of the things that I'm really excited for, and it will be what I hope to be a huge distraction for my players, and not necessarily a distraction where it's like, how are they going to complete the story? I hope that it's the main way that they get things to do. Is I want them to eavesdrop at bars. I am literally going to have a kind of like in a video game, where whenever you enter a certain location, you can choose to eavesdrop or like press Y to listen in, something like that. And it is accessible at any bar or tap room, any inn, anywhere where there is a collection of people who are sitting, eating, and drinking. They can choose to eavesdrop, and so it may be that I say, okay, yeah, you can choose to eavesdrop. I'll go to my table of rumors and stuff, and I'll be like, oh, roll my D100 to figure out what rumor. Oh, I got an 81. Scroll down to there and be like, oh yeah, so you listen in on two people that are sitting and talking to each other. They seem a well into the night. They're getting pretty sloshed, and they appear to be chatting about a royal envoy was recently lost heading towards the Forest of Abandon. Currently, no rescue parties have been sent out, seeing as the forest has recently been afflicted by a major plague, and the envoy is assumed dead. Done. Now the players have a random piece of information that is a true piece of information. All of this is stuff that's going on. And they can sit there and be like, oh my god, I am from that place. I know the like place where the royal delegation was sent from. I've never heard of the Forest of Abandon, or maybe I have. I'll have to roll a history or a nature check about it. But that may be something that I'm interested in doing. There's a good chance that we could get a reward from that, or something along those lines. Or they can just go, oh, weird. there will be rumors that are based around the characters' backstories, what is currently going on in the world, things that are actually applicable to the main plot. And I just want that to be a thing that when they sit down, someone can choose to eavesdrop, and then they gain a random piece of information that may or may not be applicable to anything that's going on in their lives. Very excited for it. It's something that I've been kind of coming up with a way to do it well. And oof, I love the feel of it, the aesthetic of the like sitting in a shady tap room in the back corner listening in on other people's conversations, or even maybe you just blend into their conversation, get them to talk to you, however a character would do it. Edward may join in on their conversation and buy him a round of drinks and be welcomed into their inner friend group, whereas Abinthy may end up threatening it out of someone. Who knows? I just think that it's a super cool idea and a really fun way to get your players like quest lines and plot points without them having to make a whole lot of effort, but then also them getting to choose what their plot point that they want to chase after is. And then it's my job to make that actually matter. So that's just a really fun thing. That's how my prep work has gone. Right now I'm working on the list of rumors and stuff that they hear. But yeah. This is closing the last call. Any questions, comments, can be about me, can be about the Paper Dungeon itself, can be about some things about Campaign 2. I can't answer all of them probably, or anything like that. But I'm also very excited for Campaign 2. I'm really pumped to first of all DM a long-term campaign again. It has been years since I have DM'd one. I've been in a couple, and played in a few, but it's been a while. Oh, thank you. I put zero effort into the beard, so it's nice to hear. DJ, from what I can tell, is excited to play. I know that he has. I mentioned it on the last week. DJ is. This is his first like real like campaign that he has been like DMing or even really played in. So he has been working his butt off to make it work. And I think he's pretty tired and would like a break. Next question, ever tried making a forever stew? No. But I know what you're talking about, and I think that every establishment should be required to always have stew on hand. That's my hot take for the day. Maz, as far as I know, yes, Campaign 2 will remain Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I have no plans to change it as of yet, assuming that WotC doesn't blow up. Generico, yes, you are also welcome, first-time chatter. We are the Paper Dungeon. That's me. I'm currently a player in the game. We play Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition on Monday nights at 7 p.m. CST. Right now, this is the show where we talk about that game. It's kind of our little talk show that we do every Thursday. Sometimes it's just me. Sometimes I have some other members of the cast and crew join me and talk about what's all going on. Thankfully, you missed all the spoilers. But if you are interested in checking us out, it's on... you can find us live on Mondays, or we have on our YouTube channel, we have everything that we've ever played, every game we've ever played, every session. It's all up there. So we would love to have you stop on by and start watching. I don't know if you played Dungeons & Dragons or anything, but... oh, sweet. Already a follower. So yeah, so you know the deal. I feel like I've seen your name before, but apparently you just never sent a chat. So it's nice to have you. And let me tell you, it is pretty time consuming. We have a couple of absolute monsters in our Discord who like started and then I bet that's what it is. I bet that's what it is. I'm like, I know that I've seen you in a chat, but it must not have been this one. But yeah, we have a couple of absolute monsters who like started watching us like if like halfway through last year, and they're like already caught up. I couldn't be me. Not a chance. I could watch like every other episode and still not catch up in that amount of time. That is just absolutely absurd. Oh man. Well, somehow, I'll be 100% honest. I didn't expect to get this far into the stream. I did not expect to go for like an hour. Oh man, Corbin, I don't know how to do it. Generico, that is absolutely understandable. And it's good. Dungeons and Dragons is a good game. It does good stuff. But yeah, I didn't expect to actually go for an hour today, since I didn't have anyone to bounce questions off of. Once again, last call. Any questions? Fast. With much speed, with haste. Dexterity, with the grace of 1,000 swans. Hensket's like, God, just stop him. Ooh, that is actually an excellent question, Generico. Is Campaign 2 staying the same genre? So right now, I would describe our genre as traditional epic fantasy. I can firmly say Campaign 2 will not be the same genre. I cannot tell you what genre it will be. I can tell you that there will be some form of fantasy involved. We're not going to jump to sci-fi. It's not going to be a welcome to the Starship Enterprise. Not going to be doing anything like that. But it will be something. It will be there will be fantasy involved. But I cannot guarantee you at what point in time in this world's history, what place in this world's history. I cannot guarantee anything other than that. But it will not be the same genre as it was. There will be many things that are different. Hear me out. This is not accurate, but just believe it for a second. The whole campaign is a pirate arc. That's what it's going to be. I'm going to show DJ how it's done. Be like, this is how you do pirates. Nailed it. Here's your boat. Here's your flag. We're going raiding. What? Okay, is this just a thing? I feel like every Dungeons and Dragons game I have ever been in has had at some point in time a moment when we're pirates. And that includes the games I've like DM'd. Something about Dungeons and Dragons is just like, so we're pirates, right? Like, if you have the chance, why wouldn't you be a pirate? Me, I'm a pirate in real life. I would pirate a car. I would pirate a house. I would pirate a movie, I'm not gonna lie. I'd do it. Theoretically. For legal reasons, that's a joke. But yeah, that's a very good question. A very revealing question, Generico. Yes, Corbin. Oh, okay, that explains it. You're like, of course, pirates. You sending this message on your galleon that comes with Wi-Fi installed this whole time. My headcanon is that Generico is a pirate in real life. No. We totally don't encourage real life pirating. Especially not from people who totally deserve it. Anything that Aaron says is his own opinion, and it does not necessarily relate to the values that the company believes in. Following that statement, mayo is the alpha condiment. I'm gonna head to end of stream plugs on that note. If you are interested in seeing more of us, we have social medias, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. They're there, and they aren't doing a whole lot, but we are trying. By we, I mean me, and it's not going well. We have a website, www.thepapertodungeon.com, where we have a merch store. We can buy merch with our logo and other fun things on there. We have a Discord where you can hang out with other fun people who also like the Paper Dungeon. Sometimes we even post little special things. I would love to post some spoilers for subscribers when it gets closer to campaign 2, so keep an eye out for that. If you want to support us, there's a lot of ways you can do that. We have Ko-Fi, we have Streamlabs donations, and we have a Patreon. On that Patreon, we release content monthly. It's additional. Normally, it's going to be a one-shot of some kind, as well as some other stuff if we have the time and capability. So if you want to support us, the easiest ways to do that is to just tell your friends, stop on by, talk in the chat. Allow me to stream longer than I probably would have had no one responded to any of my questions. So thank you for that. I'm missing one. I already did Discord. Did I do Discord? Yeah, I did Discord. Am I missing one? I don't think I'm missing one. I think that I'm just lost in my own words. But that has been Table Scraps, the show that we run on Thursdays, about the show that we run on Mondays. Check us out on Monday, 7 p.m. CST. We'll be back this week with another main campaign episode. It has been an absolute blast today. Thanks everyone for being so willing to just sit with me and me alone, and as I shout into the endless void, questioning, is anyone truly listening? Or are my words lost on the wind? We may never find out. But I only have one thing left to shout into the uncaring void today, and it is the same thing that we say every week. Good luck and Godspeed, Dungeoneers. We will see you next time, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye.